Hey guys, Desolator Magic here, and it looks like Wizards actually posted just a little bit of free lore on the web. I know, they're not paywalling it behind a book all of a sudden. I mean, that again, the whole last set, they went back on that, but you know me, I like the lore. You know, just because I've been playing for about 8 years and don't know the first thing about the lore that happened before that doesn't mean I don't enjoy the lore. So what they did is they broke down all of the legendary creatures that were in Commander Legends and gave them like a little paragraph of stuff about them. So I thought, let's meme on it. Let's meme on it hard because I have such respect for the lore. So this is my legend review. Legendary number 1, and I suspect these are in alphabetical order, it's Elena, Kessig Trapper. So it says the forest of Ulvenwald is home to many of Innistrad's most fearsome creatures, including werewolves, vampires, and the possessed. Elena defends travelers through the Ulvenwald. Although I think it's like Old British, which would just be Ulvenwald, guiding them to the nearby town of Gatstaff, always with the aid of her partner in both work and life, Halana. Elena is a highly skilled tracker, using all of her senses to find the monsters. Okay, let's pause right there. She helps defend travelers as like a hired mercenary bodyguard, and she's really good at going out of her way to find monsters. So they set out from the town and she's like, don't worry, I'll protect you. Oh, let's go this way. There's monsters this way. I'm tracking a group of 37 werewolves. Let's go. Yeah, Elena's getting some 1 out of 5s on her Yelp reviews. So she's particularly skilled at hunting werewolves, but when a greater threat faced Innistrad in the form of an Eldrazi incursion, she joined forces with the lycanthropes to help save the plane. Wow. That is tactically unsound, and she's basically a traitor. I kind of hate everything about Elena. Sucks at her job, teamed up with the werewolves, and her ability isn't even that good. Next up, it's Amareth the Lustrous, which is Latin for glowy boy. On a distant plane where dragons age, their scales harden over time, turning into a beautiful crystal. Amareth has been around for a long time, longer than any other dragon, and she takes immense pride in her glistening scales. So it's a faraway plane known as incredibly self-absorbed dragon Instagram. Fantastic. Do you think they do TikTok dances? Do you think that's hot in that plane? Hashtag my scales are shinier than yours. Hashtag harumph. So she takes so much pride, in fact, that she takes no interest in hoarding boring gold. But you could use gold to buy beef jerky. Do you not see the association? Gold equals jerky. Get your gold. Where the gold at? I want some gold. No, I won't stop making that joke. Shut up. Although it does say she exclusively hoards gems and crystals as lustrous as herself, so okay, whatever. If you stumble upon her lair and make no attempt to take anything for yourself, she will happily spend hours showing you the highlights of her collection. Also, she's one of those obnoxious collectors that's like, look at all this stuff I got, and you're like, oh my god, I gotta go. And I'm going to remember to rate at least half of these. Amaranth gets a, your name sounds too much like Amaranth out of 10. Next up, Belby. Everyone remembers Belby, the corrupt observer. It says Avila, which I guess was like her old name, was a princess among the Sky-Shroud Elves of Wrath, the daughter of Eladamri. You know how much I love elven names. A Phyrexian agent assassinated her and brought her body back to Phyrexia. Avila's corpse was reconstructed, compleated, or whatever they call that Borg thing that they stole from Star Trek, and combined with mechanical parts, told you, to make a new creature. Belby. Or Belb, I don't know. I'm not up on my Phyrexian pronunciations. So Belby's reason for being was to serve as the Eye of Yawgmoth, Phyrexia's dark god. Also, she was supposed to observe the selection of the new Evinkar of Wrath. I'm not familiar with their politics either. Competing for the honor were Krovax, a sadistic vampire, Grevin Ilvak, a brutal warrior, and Joe Jorgensen with the Libertarian Party. Oh, and also Urtai, a precocious young wizard. As the days passed, Belby transcended her purpose and made decisions for herself. She fell in love with Urtai and helped him to compete in the contest, and she attempted to sabotage the Phyrexians' invasions of Dominaria. Now that's odd. You'd think they'd have more control over her, but I guess, I don't know, there are independent thinkers or whatever, especially in the high ranks. I'm not that familiar with Phyrexian society. Her plans did not come to fruition, though, because Krovax became the new Evincer. I don't know what that is. The Phyrexian invasion was the most devastating event in Dominarian history, and Belby herself was killed by a Ladamri, aka her mom, if you missed that. So her daughter dies, gets revived, goes all Hot Topic, black emo, and then her mom's like, I am disappointed, and kills her. I'm giving that's about right out of 10. Next up, we got Blim, comedic genius. So I've only been playing for 2 out of the 3 returns to Ravnica. Well, visits to Ravnica. But I don't remember hearing about him. I am very interested in how he got the title Comedic Genius. Without even reading it yet, I can almost guarantee you it's sarcastic. Or like ironic or something. So for the cult of Rakdos, it's all fun and games until someone loses an eye. Then it's hilarious. I knew they were going to say that. Blim considers himself a once-in-a-lifetime comedic genius among the Rakdos, claiming his shows overflow with laughter and fountains of blood. How have they not all been arrested yet? He says he once put on a show so funny it literally slayed the entire audience. I doubt that. He also said that you have to have been there, but if you were, you'd be dead, so just take his word for it. There you go. Rock solid, tight alibi right there. In reality, Blim is a bit of a hack. Oh, this reads like a New York Times review. But the drinks are always cheap and the heckling opportunities are always bountiful. Just don't throw any tomatoes. Blim has been known to throw much sharper objects right back. I'm going to rate this one. That's literally just Dane Cook out of 10. Next up is Breeches. Now, we all know about Breeches from Ixalan. So, it says the Goblin Pirate Breeches is well known for his talents in gunnery, his skill in knot tying, and his expertise in yelling. His willingness to chant enthusiastically at top volume about anything, at any time, for any reason, is the stuff of legends. Oh, goblins. When Breach's recent journey to Razka to steal the Immortal Sun was unsuccessful in achieving its main goal, he and his fellow pirates' subsequent pillage of the Golden City proved to be tremendously profitable. I am absolutely elated that finally, outside of like the end of the storyline, they say, oh, that's right, it's the Golden City, it was unhidden, it's literally called the Golden Frickin' City. They are literally pirates. Somebody stuck around and stole everything. My dudes, when I am playing Dungeons and Dragons, okay, if it isn't nailed down, I'm taking it, and I'm still probably taking it if it's nailed down if I could find a crowbar. And like, yeah, I'm playing a rogue now. I played a cleric before. Guess what? I'm about that looty, and I'm coming for that booty. Now take that and project it on a goblin pirate. I mean, are we surprised that Breeches, stuck around and just... So that's why on the artwork for this card, and I love this, tie-in, he has just got bags of gold. Oh, good. Get out your Wisconsin accent bingo card, ya guys, because I said bag and dragon in the same video. Fantastic. Can't wait for the comments. Are you familiar with the Wisconsin accent or not, ya guys? I'm gonna go down to Quick Trip and get some milk for my cereal. Bingo! Anyway, Breeches and his friend Malcolm have become big wheels among the Brazen Coalition, rolling in, quote, coins and jewels and promissory notes. Yeah, if they're in the Golden City, they're probably expired. You can't collect on those. That's right up there with like Venezuelan bonds. So I'd give him a rating out of 10, but he snuck in and stole it. Next up, we got Brinelin, the Moon Kraken. That is one big frickin' Kraken. So Brinelin is a millennia-old Moon Kraken, which I'm just real curious what one has to do to get that title. Be from the moon? Interested in the moon? Eat the moon? I'd only come out when the moon's out? Enjoy mooning people as a prank? I don't know. He is hard of shell and possesses many claws and tentacles that have only grown stronger with age. Also, he hangs at the seashores of Akum and Zendikar. All the lesser creatures of the sea obey Brinelin, and the Kraken demands tribute from each ship that passes through its territory. There is very little that Brinelin fears, but Soren Markov, an ancient vampire planeswalker, is one of those things. Brinelin knows that Soren could end his life with his sangrammatic, I don't think that's the right word, powers. I'm thinking it's sanguimatic, but whatever. But that Brinelin would pull him into the depths as he dies, sharing a final deadly embrace. Well, just don't do that. Maybe fly. Maybe hit him from a further distance. So Brinelin has survived all his battles with the Eldrazi and holds dominion over the seas of Akum to this day. In secret, he mourns for the loss of his closest friend, Speaker Sutina of the Tajuru, who was slain during the early days of the Eldrazi Awakening. Well, at least he had friends. So you're just sailing your boat through the shores of Akum, and out he pops. He's like, I need about 350. This is a toll booth. So obviously I'm giving him a 350 out of 10. Next up, we got Kolfanor, the last Yew. Kolfanor was a truly ancient red Yew tree folk, the last of his kind, on Lorwyn. Long ago, he received his whole tribe's arcane lore and wisdom, magic, and traditional rites from the ancient days, which I guess didn't involve clothing replication or tree necromancy, or he would have revived him. He was a great sage and could perceive events well before other more short-lived races became aware of them. Kolfanor knew that a great change was coming to Lorwyn. Is it bad that I legit have no idea what it was? Probably involve the elves. Those guys are terrible. So one, he could not survive, or would not survive, at least not in any conventional sense. So he instilled his essence into a seed cone and instilled his teachings in his final student, the Gilt Leaf Elf Rise, who is completely broken in MTG Arena. Anyway, he tasked Rise with planting the seed cone in the Murmuring Bosque, where the sapling would grow and carry Kulfinor's wisdom into the time when Lorwyn was no more. So when the whole plane is destroyed utterly, then the sapling's gonna sprout. That's some great timing. You sure this guy inherited all the wisdom of his group? Were they exceptionally dumb? Anyway, it says then it'll have been transformed by the great Aurora into Shadowmoor. So that's a thing that happened, I guess. I don't know, I guess that's what he meant. I don't know, anything with shadow. I mean, I know gardening, that's not when you want to sprout. And I give this one a Des doesn't know anything about the lore out of 10. Next up is Eligeth. Ooh, I wanted to hear about this one too. And like literally, I wanted to hear more about this character without even knowing that they were going to post this, so I'm just like delighted. All my fellow lore monkeys out there, y'all gotta show up in the comments first of all. At Zegally, hey, I'm glad you're still watching. Wait, aren't lore enthusiasts traditionally called... Shut up, it's called lore monkeys now. Anything Wizard says, I'm gonna create a new word for it. So nothing pleases a sphinx more than searching for and discovering the secrets of the multiverse. Centuries ago, Eligeth stumbled upon a truth that no being was supposed to know. That drawing too many cards is inherently broken in the game. Even Wizards hasn't discovered this yet. And now, he exists about 5 minutes into every possible future. That's got to be confusing. There's infinite futures too if they're following like Earth physics, so that would be hard to process with your brain there. To put it simply, if you were to speak with Eligeth, he would have already had the conversation with you and have experienced every possible permutation said conversation could take. Therefore, to you, it might seem like he is completely uninterested in everything you have to say, but in reality, he's already heard you out infinite times and has already answered your question as thoroughly and thoughtfully as possible. You just exist in the wrong timeline to hear the answer. To put it even more simply, conversing with Eligeth is extremely frustrating. So my bro just sits there like, oh, so that could have happened, and that's it. That's his whole life. Boring out of 10. Next up, we got the ghost of Ramirez de Pietro. This spectral pirate has been a feature of the seas off Jamura for centuries now, signing on with the new pirate crew whenever he feels the call of the waves. Ramirez's sense of style and ready wit make him popular among pirates who aren't prejudiced against dead people. Good for them. How progressive. You remember the saying that if The Walking Dead happened, there would be people trying to jump to the zombies' defense and saying that they have rights? Heck, I think that happened in the show, but I think we know who from real society that would be. When he's in a talkative mood, which is always, De Pietro has claimed to have served on Captain Crucius Backstabs as a privateer in the South Sea during the Brothers' War, to have fought alongside Torwaki, the Elder, whoever that is, against the Robaran mercenaries in the Sea of Serenity during Johan's War, and to have raided shipping between the Ademi Isles during the Madaran reconquest. He claims vigorously to have died in the battle with the pirate queen Adira Strongheart, to have been assassinated by the Tolarian shapeshifter known only as Halfdane, and to have been outmatched by Gwendolyn Decory in Urborg. How many times does this bro die? What the hell? How many of these tales, if any, are true is impossible to know, so a braggy dead pirate who didn't keep his receipts. I mean, I'm just going to give him a 2 out of 10 because he feels like a 2 out of 10. You know, just saying. Okay, now this is the one we've all been waiting for. It's Gore Muldrak, Amphinologist, a.k.a. the Salamander guy. And since he's just a giant nerd crawling around in a swamp getting ready to be killed by salamanders, all they have is a quote from him. The Amphin, a race of amphibious humanoids, have lived peacefully for generations in the depths of the seas, but their numbers have expanded, and their Ammonite temple caves can no longer hold their burgeoning numbers. The Amphin's priests have set their sights upon Chandalar's shorelines. Oh, he's from Chandalar! Oh, that's baller! We need to return to Chandalar, and I mean like 2022, like let's go. And their hunters have girded themselves for war. Meanwhile, their Nemo mages, I guess... I mean, we'll just say Nemos for short because that's funny, have infiltrated the sewers of each of the major cities. They have used their mind control powers, mind control salamanders, to erase all knowledge of the Amphin's existence from the minds of humanity. The near universal ignorance of the Amphin is in every major university from Artistan to Lesh is simultaneously evidence of the Amphin's power and of their nefarious intent. And yet here he is in the book Crypto Histories writing about them, so why didn't he forget? I'm actually surprised in the card that he isn't wearing a tinfoil hat to keep the mind-controlling salamanders out of his head. So I'm going to give him a tinfoil out of 10. Next up, Helana Kessig Ranger. The coming of Emrakul to Innistrad caused a series of ever more bizarre and horrible events. Murders and cult activity increased, and the people near Ulvenwald Forest, I'm still going to say it that way, began to change. They grew fibrous mats of tentacles and chanted Emrakul's name in weird worship. Helana, along with her partner in work and life, Elena, I thought that sounded familiar. Elena was the first one. Traced the activities of Emrakul's hidden cults and confronted them. In the face of such an existential threat, the two hunters joined forces with their former enemies, the werewolves, I still don't agree with that, to battle Emrakul's mutated throng. You know, I'm pretty sure I read all that lore, and they never explained why, like, certain people mutated and certain people didn't. Like, I'm just gonna say, oh, they're kind of famous and important to the plot. Ooh, magic plot armor. My best logical guess is, they were all just coincidentally out of town at the time, and Emrakul only targeted towns because of population density, I guess. So I'm rating this card a don't team up with the werewolves out of 10. Next up, we've got Jessica, thrice reborn. So Jessica began her life among the Pardic barbarians of Otaria in Dominaria, but she was destined to be reborn 3 times and to spend those lives throughout the multiverse. When her brother Kamal stabbed her with the Mirari sword, I guess this is written by a non-Biden supporter, the wound festered and spread, turning her into Phage the Untouchable. Oh, that's who this is. That card is insane, by the way. So yeah, Phage the Untouchable's slightest touch meant death. This was Jessica's first rebirth. So when Kamal defeated Phage, Akroma, and Zagorka with a single stroke of his Soul Reaper axe, then quoting his favorite saying, "Oh baby, a triple," the 3 melded together to form Corona, the false god. This was Jessica's second rebirth. Fun little trivia fact here, the card Corona, the false god, was featured briefly for like 1 second in the music video by Phineas called My Horses Are Many, and if you just want to see what would happen when a metal band invades like a fun family, fun park arcade place and just like wrecks their mini golf, go watch it. It's hilarious. Also, that song is absolute fire. Just like Jessica's weapons. She's got 2 of them, whatever. So when Corona's trusted acolytes, Sash and Waistcoat, betrayed her and stabbed her with the Mirari sword, boy, she just keeps getting hit by that damn Mirari sword. The 3 women split apart once more. Akroma and Zagora died, but Jessica's Planeswalker spark ignited. This was Jessica's final rebirth. So how the heck does that Mirari sword work? However the hell it needs to for the plot at the time. Sparking as a planeswalker, Jessica was taken under the wing of the Silver Golem Karn. Centuries later, Jessica returned to Dominaria to help close the rifts that had opened above it. Yeah, not just that had opened, let's call it what it is. That Teferi opened by breaking everything. He accidentally phased out a province, guys, and then didn't know how to, he knew how to undo it. He just, planeswalker mending, who knows. Oops, lost an entire province. My bad. I hate Teferi so much. In and out of the game, I hate him. So she ultimately sacrificed herself to close the largest and final rift. Oh, that's who that was. Apparently, I knew Jessica twice in the lore, saving Dominaria and the rest of the multiverse. And I'm going to rate this, I'm just terrible with names, out of 10. Jessica. So next up, of course, we've got Kamal, Heart of Krosa, Mr. Stabby McStabby Sword. So his story is, when the Dominarian barbarian Kamal came to possess the Mirari, a powerful magical artifact, it amplified his inherent traits and rendered him violent and power-hungry. Just FYI, the Mirari is a legendary non-equipment artifact. Okay, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, you may pay 3. If you do copy that spell, you may choose new targets for the copy. Apparently, it also grants wishes. It also created Memnarch, which just went great for Mirrodin. It caused the entire storyline of Odyssey. It helped Chainer take over the Cabal and to accidentally destroy its capital. Whoopsies. It flooded Otaria. When somebody chucked it into the wilds, it made a bunch of weird stuff grow. And initially it was created by Karn to just be a probe. An accidentally wish-granting probe. What the hell? So anyway, even though it's a sphere, I guess he used it as a sword, or it became a sword, or he attached it to his sword. I don't know. So apparently the effect was Kamal tried to force all the Pardic tribes to follow him. Losing control and driven with unnatural rage, Kamal plunged his sword into his own sister, Jessica, nearly killing her. Yeah, except that, well, we saw what that did. Stricken with remorse, Kamal became a hermit in the Croson forest, learning the ways of the druid from Thristan and Tuco. Kamal devoted himself to nature and the defense of others. Though Kamal is now long dead, the Order of Kamalite Druids was established in the Croson forest to honor his actions and memory. So next up is Cadis, which you wouldn't think a little lizard would have a backstory, but they say a lavamancer's familiar can greatly influence the potency of their master's magic. A poor, dare I say, obstinate familiar can impede spellcasting and limit new discoveries, while an excellent familiar, like Cadis, can enable spellcasting of an incredible scale. I feel like they're trying to sell me Cadis. With Cadis by your side, you'll notice increased firepower, improved range, and a sudden influx of new ways to incinerate your foes. He'll also light your forge, eat your slag, and gently nuzzle your cheek at the end of a long day. So I'll rate this card and its lore a 3 easy payments of $29.99 out of 10. Next up, another one I wanted to know about. Kaleth, Sunmane Familiar, aka Legendary Horsey. So on the battlefield, a compatible mount can mean the difference between life and death, and if one wishes to ride Kaleth, compatibility is everything. Known in some circles as the Kingmaker, any knight accepted by Kaleth is destined for glory in battle and beyond. However, when the dust settles and a rider claims their reward, Kaleth vanishes, only to reappear on a different battlefield sometime after, searching for a new rider. Neato. I'm going to rate this one a friendship is magic out of 10. Next up, there's the always creepy-looking Keskit the Flesh Sculptor. Keskit is a Phyrexian who's obsessed with his praetor, Shealdred. He believed her to be the epitome of perfection, and desired only to remake the world in her image. Keskit had the auspicious duty of completing any new subjects that came under Shealdred's rule, and often they ended up with spider-like features reminiscent of the praetor. Keskit's fate, after Elish Norn destroyed Shealdred's domain, is unknown. Haha, you picked the wrong leader to fanboy over there, Keskit. And I rate this one, I told you, white's a more powerful monocolor, out of 10. Next up, we got Kodama of the East Tree. He is a spirit of the East Tree. Before the Kami War, the monks of the East Tree enjoyed a life of prosperity alongside this spirit, who used floating spores to spread new growth throughout the area. How's that work if he's a spirit? That usually means he's dead. But when the Kami War broke out, the Kodama appeared to go dormant, sinking its roots into the ground and becoming unresponsive. Unfortunately, the reality was much less peaceful. The Kodama was spreading its roots through the territory of the East Tree, and from the ground burst a new kind of spore, unlike any the monks had ever seen. These spores all struck at once, latching onto humans and siphoning their energy to create new spiritual growths. At the end of the 20-year war, the Kodama sank into dormancy once more. While it hasn't stirred since, the remaining monks pray to it nervously from a safe distance. So was it like trying to end the war, or did it just turn on the humans because it's like these humans are violent, or what really went on there? I now have more questions than answers. Thanks, lore thing trying to explain everything. Next up, it's Coin Flippin' Krark, classic character. You probably know him a little bit. I'm actually not that familiar with his lore myself, other than he does something with his thumb and coin flipping. So it says, Krark was a high-rolling gambler who lived in the Oxida Mountains of Mirrodin. He lost both his thumbs to Durg betting on a Hellion race. That's why you don't do that, including his luckiest thumb. So he lost 2 thumbs, and they wanted us to absolutely know that it included his luckiest thumb, because it included all of his thumbs. So Krark wanted that thumb back. He bet Durg a thumb that he could walk to the center of Mirrodin and back. Durg pointed out that Krark didn't have any thumbs left, but Krark said he was good for it. I mean, you can get a thumb. So Krark traveled deep within the center of Mirrodin. Weeks later, he returned bearing a book he'd written filled with a description of his journey. Durg sighed and handed over Krark's lucky thumb. Krark wore the thumb around his neck, along with other good luck charms until the end of his days, which wasn't very long as his journey got him executed for heresy. That just got dark. After he died, a religion known as the Cult of Krark, also known as Commander Players, was formed around his writing, spreading the word that there was a secret world inside Mirrodin. Gasp! I'm giving it a heretic out of 10. Next up, Lieza, or however you say it, Shroud of Dusk. Totally mega epic badass dual color angel, by the way, if you don't remember. 1,000 years ago on Innistrad, 4 Archangel sisters defended humanity. Sigarda, who protected the living. Bruna, who protected the dead. Gisela, who fought monsters. And Lieza, who consorted with them. A little bit of pronoun confusion there, but hopefully they cleared it up. Each of the 4 sisters led a flight of lesser angels and had the same goal, to defend humanity, but each had their own methods. Of all the sisters, only Lieza sought to understand her enemies and in doing so mitigate their evil. With her knowledge, she reasoned the monsters could be fought more effectively and bargained with the foul to do good. One day, a new angel appeared as if from nowhere, Avacyn. She was inflexible in her righteousness and unstoppable in her power. She did not approve of Lieza's methods, and when Lieza made a pact with a demon lord, yeah, that's when you know you done screwed up the strategy there, Avacyn declared her a heretic and destroyed her, along with her entire flight of angels. Dude, seriously? Seriously though? Avacyn don't play. And I'm gonna give it a full Nicolas Cage, oops, ya dad, out of 10. Next up, we got Livio, a character that nobody cares about. So it says Fiora is a plane of political games, deception, and treachery. And I assume that's Conspiracy 1 and 2, I think it was called Fiora. I don't know. While the nobles eat each other alive, the common folk suffer. Livio has seen enough. Let me guess. You're going to try to install Marxist socialism. Good luck with that. Maybe you should go Livio in Cuba for a couple years. See how that went. So the only noble heir to a noble house. He watched helplessly as his father ordered the destruction of a small village, merely to spite the other noble who owned the land. He ripped the family crest off his doublet and threw it at his father's feet, renouncing the family name and his future title. From that moment on, Livio dedicated himself to defending the common folk. He had been trained by the best fighting instructors money could buy, and his ample skills were more than enough to defeat the cutthroats that threatened the streets of the high city of Palliano. Active years before the Queen Marchesa rose to power. Okay, now I'm sure it's conspiracy. She had viewed him as an amusing wild card that makes political games look a little more interesting. That is, of course, until he dispatched some of the Queen's men who were shaking down a local merchant. Now Marchesa thinks she and Livio should have a little talk. And I'm giving this a, yeah, that sounds like something someone at Wizards would make up, out of 10. Next up, it's Malcolm, the keen-eyed navigator from Ixalan. We all know who Malcolm is. I mean, come on. But Malcolm is a member of the Brazen Coalition of Pirates on Ixalan. As a siren, he is naturally gifted in the art of navigation, and he supplements his natural gifts of celestialism with celestialism, divine magic that derives information from the stars with the aid of charts, compasses, and astrolabes. Oh, everybody loves that astrolabe. Malcolm was hired by Captain Frasco to serve aboard the pirate ship Belligerent in search of the immortal sun. Malcolm is readily seen away from his best friend, the irrepressible and unquietable goblin pirate Breeches. So, you know, Malcolm and Breeches, they work together. I think they were like co-piloting one of the ships or a different ship or the same ship, or I don't remember, but yeah, they're pretty cool. So, I mean, obviously by reading Breeches' background, you could pretty much, know, because Malcolm was with them at the time, I believe, that Malcolm's rich as balls too. He went to the Golden City and he got that cheddar. And I'm giving this 10 gold doubloons out of 10. Next up, it's Numa, Jiraga Chieftain, from that one Numa video on YouTube. So Numa was responsible for the survival of his entire clan of Jiraga elves. Why? Zendikar is a harsh, dangerous plane, and threats can come from anywhere, from dangerous creatures, from outsiders, or from the land itself. Okay, that literally sounds like Flint, Michigan, or like Detroit or something. Just move. Why are you guys still there? I mean, other than the fact that post-mending biological materia and living beings can't travel through interplanar portals, other than that, excuses. So Numa saw to it that his people were well equipped for anything Zendikar could throw at them, whether with tools or weapons or with powerful druidic spells. Anything that threatened his clan was killed or driven away, and so Numa made the hard decision to exile a young Nissa, whose animist powers the Jiraga believed had angered Zendikar. Nope, the Eldrazi pissed off Zendikar, although if you look at Nissa's early storyline, let's just say the origin of the royal and stuff isn't the most canon chronologically consistent thing in the world. Next up, unfortunately, it's Nimrus Una's Trickster, another fairy. Oh my god, these fairy cards are so annoying and OP. So Nimrus leads a clique of fairies on the plane of Lorwyn. Fiercely loyal to Queen Una, he has accepted a crucial mission. It is his responsibility to irritate and exhaust any humanoid he comes across. I told you, I hate fairies. Everybody hates fairies. The more exasperated the humanoid becomes, the deeper they will sleep when exposed to Nimrus's magic. Deeper sleep produces more potent dreams for the click to harvest, and those dreams are safely delivered to Una for mysterious purposes. Dude, some fairy flies around, it's the same as like some bug trapped in my room, mosquito or something. I will stay up until 5 in the damn morning trying to kill that thing. Oh, we ain't going to sleep while that thing's buzzing around. Hell no. And I'm rating this one a Nimrus is incredibly annoying out of 10. Next up is everybody's favorite kitty, Prava. Prava's a big white cat soldier, by the way. Prava achieved renown for having the lowest mortality rate in the Steel Legion. I mean, you either lived or you didn't, so I mean, it's probably a one-way tie with everybody else. I assume they mean Prava's group or whatever. Anyway, her tactical awareness is second to none, allowing her to position her troops into efficient formations that get them home alive. Recently, her success in battle and enormous popularity among the soldiers of the Legion have earned her the rank of Prefectus. Prava's military rival is the vampire Tribunus Lycia, and they have clashed on the battlefield countless times. Their troops and tactics seem evenly matched, but we all know who the more powerful color is. And whenever one gets an edge, the other quickly catches up. Perhaps Prava would be able to emerge victorious if she were less careful with her troops' lives, but that is not a sacrifice she is willing to make. Because I'm rating this card, Kitty Lives Matter out of 10. So next up we've got Radiant Sarah Archangel, which is just a terrible way to phrase a card because I'm not kidding. Her name is Radiant. She's a Sarah Archangel. And you might have kind of mentally filled in, oh, why didn't they call it Radiant Sarah the Archangel? Like she's Radiant. No, this is her like sub-commander named Radiant. Okay, so she was one of the first of the archangels created by the ancient planeswalker Sarah. Radiant commanded Sarah's angelic hosts in their battle against corruption and darkness. When Sarah left her realm, she entrusted its guardianship to Radiant. For year after year, she sat upon Sarah's throne, which was not made for a being such as herself, and inflicted great tortures upon her. Although Radiant's light remained unwavering, Phyrexian sleeper agents turned her against her own people as the Phyrexians invaded Sarah's realm. How the heck did they do that? The skyship Weatherlight intervened, rescuing all those who wished to evacuate. When the last humans and angels made good on their escape, the plane collapsed, taking Radiant with it. Radiant's divine light and the magical power of Sarah's realm fuel the Power Stone at the heart of the Weatherlight, the flying ship which proved to be the salvation of Dominaria. So a lot of history there. Apparently Radiant was a really big character, probably in multiple of the books. I had never heard of her, but apparently she just straight up turned on her own people. And I'm rating her another reason to hate the Phyrexians out of 10. Next up, Rebecca, Architect of Ascension, who gets a 0 out of 10 before I even start reading because her name is Rebecca instead of Rebecca. At least make it Becca, which still sounds terrible, but at least is a real thing. So in ancient Dominaria, Rebecca was the greatest architect in the entirety of the Thran Empire. Her buildings drew the eye upward, inviting the body to follow, in what she called the architecture of ascension. She incorporated power stones into many of her designs, culminating in her masterpiece, the Thran Temple, which floated above the capital city of Halcyon. Rebecca's talents brought with them power and influence. When her husband fell ill, she used that influence to bring the Thran physician Yawgmoth, which that was a great idea, to Halcyon. Unknowingly, she helped Yawgmoth's power grow, and eventually he plunged the Thran Empire into civil war, destroying Halcyon and all of Rebecca's creations. Learning that Yawgmoth had been conducting twisted experiments on the artificial plane of Phyrexia, Rebecca sealed the gateway to Phyrexia, sacrificing herself in the process. And as we all know, that was the end of the Phyrexians, and they totally never escaped. And I'm rating this the Thran done screwed up big time out of 10. Oh, after also giving a 0 out of 10. Both, I guess. Next up, Rogrok, son of Roga. Does literally anybody anywhere give a crap about the kobold power structures in politics? The kobolds of Kirkeep worship the great dragon Prosh as if he were a god. The core tenet of their religion, as it were, is to act in a way befitting of their deity, mainly pillaging, burning, and spreading terror in their wake. Indeed, it is believed that kobolds who live up to these ideals will be reborn as a dragon hatched from one of Prosh's eggs. Oh god, a psychotic, violent reincarnation cult. That's exactly what I'd expect from kobolds. Well, one day their leader Roga had a new idea. The best way to be like his god was to become one himself. From that moment on, he assumed the role of tyrant, demanding tribute and sacrifice equal to what was offered to Thrash. Rogra's son, I'm getting all these names wrong, could not bear to watch his father pillage his own people, not when there were so many other people that could be pillaging instead. They could be pillaging instead. He now leads a resistance against his father in an attempt to return the kobolds of Carekeep to the path of, quote, righteousness. And I'm rating this one, a Rograk should be wearing a Che Guevara shirt out of 10. Next we got Sengir, the Dark Baron, which pretty much everybody's heard of, but Baron Sengir is an ancient vampire lord who figures prominently in tales told to frighten children on a number of planes. Though not a planeswalker himself, the Baron once served as a summoned thrall to powerful planeswalkers in his youth. Hey, everybody gotta have that crappy summer job. In ancient Dominaria, his minions were said to have drained the blood of entire continents. Shrewd and intelligent in between elegant dinners and philosophical discourses. God, they're just, like, trying to describe what Twilight tried to be. So anyway, he took over a dwarven fortress in Ulgratha and slowly built a base of power, the Dark Barony. After the centuries, he turned more and more of the people of the homelands into his undead minions. The Baron was last seen at the head of an army of vampires walking through the mysterious dwarven gate, a portal to another plane, in the dungeons of his castle on the eve of the Great Mending, which explains how they got through, although they're technically undead, but whatever. Whatever's on the other side of that portal is surely doomed, so I'm gonna rate this a Don't Call Me Shirley out of 10. Next up, it's Siani, Eye of the Storm. In Tarkir's original timeline, Siani was a Jeskai monk in search of understanding the true nature of reality. And then honk honk, here comes the new timeline, bulldoze and everything. So while many among the Jeskai believed that training and meditation were the keys to enlightenment, they found out that if you're running Jeskai colors, you're probably just a terrible person. So Mono Blue Siani here believed that true enlightenment could only be discovered in the stillness of battle. Indeed, when fighting, she enters a trance-like state where she claims she can hear the voices of the ancient dragons. And I'm rating this one a Who Cares the Dragons Are Dicks out of 10. Next up, it's Tevshzat, which I'm pretty sure I ordered at the Greek restaurant one time. Pretty sure I made that joke before, but when Tev Loneglade's beloved sister was murdered by a religious zealot, the ancient planeswalker's only reason to restrain himself was gone. Renaming himself Tevshzat after reshaping his body into that of a twisted dragon, he made it his mission to silence all life. Bit of an overreaction there, Tevish. His methods were both subtle, whispering words intended to stoke the paranoia of Dominaria's leaders and impel them to unwise actions, and direct, using magic to murder those he could not manipulate. A recurring evil in the Dominarian history, he was instrumental in the fall of the Sarpadian empires, the destruction of the glacier kingdom of Storgard, the murder of the elder dragon Chromium Rule, oh, that guy was awesome, and the cataclysmic rebirth of the primeval dragons. Oh, he was the one who did the rebirth thing. What a jerk. During the Phyrexian invasion, the planeswalker Urza inducted him into the Nine Titans, a group of planeswalkers dedicated to defeating Phyrexia once and for all. Zat betrayed the Titans, shocking I know, and murdered 2 of their number before Urza, having anticipated Zat's betrayal, killed him in turn, using Zat's essence to power the soul bombs the Titans used against Phyrexia. Why'd you hire him in the first place if you knew he was gonna turn on ya? There actually is an answer to that in the lore, but it would take me 10 minutes, so I'm just not going to. So obviously I'm rating this one a haha, you got turned into a bomb, and that's some DBZ stuff out of 10. Next up, the Prismatie Piper. Yeah, what the hell is this thing? Across the multiverse, in moments of great need, magic users across the multiverse have found themselves able to cast spells, unlike any they've ever cast before. But apparently unable to proofread this article. Whenever the danger is past, the knowledge disappears without a trace. When asked about these events, each mage reported the same thing. It was as if their head was filled with music, that of a hauntingly beautiful flute. And what's that? We have a clip? Wow, hauntingly beautiful. I feel like I could cast magic at least 37% better right now. So researchers, because of course that's a thing, have dubbed this phenomenon the Prismatie Piper, based on the most popular theory. That theory is, I'm not saying it's aliens, but it's aliens. So anyway, that theory states that a spirit of pure mana, purer than even elementals, could exist simultaneously across all planes at all times. Being pure mana, it would have no will of its own, but its power could be subconsciously harnessed by the one who meets certain criteria. Efforts to pinpoint that criteria have yielded few results, and for now, the Piper remains a mystery, but also here's a picture of it apparently. And I'm giving it a legend has it this was just a fixed commander draft out of 10. Next up, we got Yurlok of Scorch Thrash. I don't know what any of that is. So, Yurlok leads a Thrash, oh, that's what a Thrash is, a Viashino on Jund. Utterly fearless, he hunts his prey in deliberately dangerous situations. Lava flows make for quite the advantage when you know them like the back of your hand. Well, by definition, it kind of changes as it flows. That's how flows work, but okay. But yeah, he knows them like the back of his claw. Of course, a few Viashino might fall in themselves, but that is merely the price of the Thrash's survival. After the conflux, Yurlok found his hunting grounds vastly expanded, and he believes Esper could use some lava-adjacent redecorating. Well, how do you move the lava? It sounds like he goes to where the lava is. He's specifically not a lavamancer. So I'm rating this one, and I'm confused out of 10. And finally, the last one for today in part 1, which if you like this, I'll do part 2. We've got Zara, Renegade Recruiter. In preparing to rebel against the consulate, the renegades needed to bolster their forces. Among their various recruiters, none were as effective as Zara. Her rhetoric was the stuff of legends, convincing even entrenched consulate members to join her side. All she had to do was say, hey guys, I got free pizza on the way. Well, some of the things she's saying make sense. I'm going to stick around for the pizza. Captain of her own airship, Zara led the most ragtag crew on Kaladesh in a series of successful raids that were key to delivering the Renegades' victory. And I'm rating this, I'm pretty sure I never read past the first chapter of the lore of Kaladesh because I stopped giving a crap out of 10. So that is your lore review! Or legend review. What did I call it at the beginning of this? That was a long time ago. Well, whatever I was reviewing, the legends or the lore, or let's be honest, both, that's my take on everything, and now you're slightly more educated-ish on some things that might have been facts about your favorite characters from Commander Legends. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I'll see you guys next video.